Where's your daddy? And your mommy, right? Do you want to go back? Do you want to go back to them, or do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Trump.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Which will recognize for generations to come. You are in a position of extraordinary power. You can change forever the trajectory we are on. You can make a world that is once again full of hope, not fear. This is my message from Earth to come. On behalf of We the 15, I ask you.
In a statement, he says Biden went to Europe saying global warming is his highest priority and then promptly fell asleep for all the world to see.
Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her. No. She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. Let's say China. 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 You go over to China. 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 You take China.
China.
China. I love them. China. 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 I have to have my China. China. China because China. 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 China, 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 China now, China, China. You know, China.
I know China very well. China, 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 China.
China, China, China.
Northwest Wisconsin, where I'm from.
It's China to me, China. China, 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 China. You want to buy from China? That's great. Buy from China. Buy toys from China. China in particular. China. China. I have people that I know in China. 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 China.
And so he held a press conference to announce whether or not she was going to retain her crown. Yeah. And then she started to cry.
She did.
Going, I just want to thank Donald who's giving me a second chance.
It's brilliant.
And there he is, hair looping, going, everyone deserves a second chance. And I'm going to give her a second chance.
And to be honest, it started with a beauty pageant contestant. And frankly, she's a great beauty. Tara is a great beauty. So you have beauty, and then you have Rosie, the beast. You have Beauty and the Beast. So it works well. And then you have Trump. So it's like a good combination of events.
Do you want them to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
That was the slot that the Obamacare approach was to take. And like I say, and that means the insurance companies get to do pretty much whatever they want. All of those benefits I just mentioned are lost. 20 million people now have health insurance. Was the slot that the Obamacare approach was to take. And like I say,
I mean, take a look at Rosie. What do you have? The best thing Rosie has going is her girlfriend, Kelly. Now, if Kelly ever leaves Rosie, she'll never find another one, believe me, because who's going to want Rosie? How would you like to have to kiss that goodnight, Larry? That would not be for you, believe me. Boy, did Pocahontas destroy him, I'll tell you. And look what I did to her. She choked. You know, she went out and got a test because I was killing her with a Pocahontas. Remember I said, I have more Indian blood in me than she does, and I have none. She was really mean to Mini Mike, I'll tell you, the way she treated her. He didn't know what hit him.
He's going, oh, get me off of this stage. Get me off. Get me off of this stage. We got Mini Mike, but I think he's out of it. I would like to spend $700 million and end up with nothing. Mini Mike. I know him well. I knew that was going to happen. That was probably the worst debate performance in the history of presidential debates. You know, we can no longer say Pocahontas because she has no Indian blood. We can no longer call her Pocahontas. I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll have to come up with another name for her.
His visceral response to attack people on their appearance, short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? Would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
Rosie's a failure. She's always been a failure. Her shows all go down the tubes. How they thought she'd work on The View, ridiculous. The show is a big, big miss. Joe Biden can't speak clearly. He can't think clearly. So he tells law enforcement, you got to do something about this guy, Trump. He's killing me. Take a look at this. You'll see. Just take a look. You're not even going to believe it.
How would you say your mental focus is?
It's focused. I haven't. Look.
Let's get ready to bumble!
I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. True international average of pressure. God, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
I know Hillary met my campaign manager, and I got the chance to meet the people who are working so hard to get her elected. There they are, the heads of NBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. There's the New York Times right over there, and the Washington Post. They're working overtime. True.
Rosie's a loser. There's no question about that. People know it. People that know her know it.
We have losers.
She suffers from a thing called loser's remorse. She lost.
Cher is somewhat of a loser. She's lonely. She's unhappy.
You know, when I watch a George Will or a Charles Krauthammer, I watch them for years. They're losers. They're just losers.
Well, Rosie's a loser. She's always been a loser.
He's called fellow Republican Karl Rove a loser, a proven loser, and a total loser. While actor Russell Brand was a major loser, including all haters and losers. Happy New Year.
I think we have every single endorsement, even New York's finest, New York City's finest. We love our finest. Is the mic ready? Yes. I wonder who did that to our mic. I don't believe it was Joe. You know who it was? Crooked Hillary. Must have. I think it was probably Crooked Hillary. That Hillary, as I say, Crooked Hillary. Crooked Hillary. She is a crooked one. Crooked. She is crooked. It's really amazing. When I don't like somebody, their shows do really badly. Maybe it's subconscious, maybe it's will over matter, who knows? But their shows do really badly. Lawrence O'Donnell, his show is failing. It's a disaster. They moved him out of the 8 o'clock slot because Bill O'Reilly was absolutely killing him. They gave him the less coveted 10 o'clock spot, and he's dying at that. Then you have Rosie O'Donnell. It's really interesting. Their names are the same. Maybe they should get married, but Rosie just found a new mate, and I don't think she'd find him attractive, even if that were the way she goes. Has more names than any disease in history. I can name Kung Flu.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is dead.
The United States launched a targeted operation against that compound.
They did a lot of shooting, and they did a lot of blasting, even not going through the front door. You know, you think you go through the door. If you're a normal person, you say, knock, knock, may I come in?
After a firefight, they killed Osama bin Laden and took custody of his body.
He died like a dog.
But his death does not mark the end of our effort.
A beautiful dog, a talented dog.
We give thanks for the men who carried out this operation.
And I don't get any credit for this, but that's okay. I never do. But here we are.
No, he called me George. I don't know if I should be insulted or happy about it. I'm sort of insulted. That's the first time that's happened to me in a long time.
What kind of country we're going to be? 4 more years of Georgia, he's going to find ourselves in a position where if Trump gets elected.
Last week, Sleepy Joe Biden.
John Roberts, go ahead, John. No. John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. Let's go to a real network.
So, you know, Rosie shouldn't be talking. I mean, the one I feel sorry for in the whole thing is her girlfriend, Kelly. Anybody that has to kiss Rosie, I feel very sorry for.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself. And by the way, Rocket Man should have been handled a long time ago. Little Rocket Man. Getting a good picture, everybody, so we look nice and handsome and thin.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Yeah, you can get her out. Get her out. You know, she looks just like Hillary Clinton, actually. Is that Hillary? Hillary, is that you? Hillary wants to find out, how do you get these crowds, right? How do you get these crowds? Goodbye, Hillary. Bye. They would love to see a guy like Sleepy Joe Biden, who has no clue what the hell he's doing. They'd say to Sleepy Joe, sir, just sign right there. Oh, okay.
You look like Rosie, you'd be critical of beauty pageants, too. Believe me. Rosie is a very unattractive woman, both inside and out. And as hard as it is to believe, inside is probably uglier than outside, and that's really saying something. But you have to understand, I know Rosie. Rosie's a loser.
She came to my wedding. She ate like a pig. And seriously, the wedding cake was like missing in action.
And I thought it was disgraceful. I mean, here's a horrible human being, a terrible woman. She looks bad and she sounds bad. And believe me, as bad as she looks, she's worse inside.
They're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's
I
not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings
Let
would
me
be
ask
much
if
better.
The only years that anybody's ever seen were a couple of years when he had to turn them over to state authorities when he was trying to get a casino license, and they showed he didn't pay any federal income tax. So
that makes
if
me
he's
smart.
paid,
You use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes.
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have
a
you
lot
not
of
paid
my
personal federal income tax?
A lot of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed, and she'll always allow it because the people that give her all this money, they want it. That's why. See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president. Hillary Clinton, and it's extremely complex, Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions, including they want the carried interest provision, which is very important to Wall Street people, but they really want the carried interest provision, which I believe Hillary's leaving. It's very interesting why she's leaving carried interest. But I will tell you that, number one, I pay tremendous numbers of taxes. I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money from. Now, I won't mention their names because they're rich, but they're not famous, so we won't make them famous.
Rosie is an unattractive person. Rosie is she's a slob. And, you know, how she gets this girlfriend, I don't know. But I look forward to the day that Kelly leaves her, because Kelly, if you're listening, Kelly, and I'm sure you are, you can do much better.
Nobody can do it like me. Nobody. Nobody can do it like me. Honestly.
Nobody's stronger than me.
Nobody has better toys than I do. There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Nobody loves the Bible more than I do. Nobody builds walls better than me.
Nobody's better to people with disabilities than me. Nobody's fighting for the veterans like I'm fighting for the veterans.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
There's nobody more pro-Israel than I am. There's nobody more conservative than me.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump.
Because nobody's ever had crowds like Trump has had.
There's nobody that understands the horror of nuclear better than me. And nobody even understands it but me. It's called devaluation. The sale of the uranium that nobody knows what it means. I know what it means.
Nobody knows more about trade than me.
Nobody knows the game better than I do.
Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me.
Nobody knows politicians better than I do.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do. Nobody knows more about debt than I do.
Nobody knows the system better than me. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible. Your organization's terrible. Let's go. Go ahead. Quiet. Quiet. Go ahead. She's asking a question. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Well, Rosie O'Donnell's disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, you know, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out. Rosie's a person that's very lucky to have her girlfriend. And she better be careful or I'll send one of my friends over to pick up her girlfriend. Why would she stay with Rosie if she had another choice?
Somebody said, well, what would you do? What can you do? So easy. I drop a 25% tax on China. And, you know, I said to somebody that is really the messenger. The messenger is important. I could have one man say, we're going to tax you 25%. And I could say another, listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G.
Snoop Dogg.
You know I'm mobbing with the D.R.E.